Hello, Internet. My name is Daniel O'Brien, and welcome to another episode of Obsessive Pop Culture Disorder, the only show on the Internet bold enough to hold up a mirror to society and finally... Wait. Sorry. Just getting word that... Nope. No, we don't do that. This is the show that makes fun of Pinocchio a lot. Okay. Got it. Today's nasty thing is... Hey, look at us. We put kid in the same title as Sucks Big Sweaty Balls. That's new. Maybe illegal. Never checked, so I don't know. Which I think gives me deniability, right? Yes, you can't spell denial without Daniel. Probably. Again, never checked. I don't know how crimes work, but I'm a satirist, which makes me bulletproof, one would think. Anyway, every childhood is basically the same. Your limbs grow, you get yelled at by your parents, you play at recess, you get grounded, your body changes and it's awful, you're furiously horny, and so on. But movie childhoods tend to be consistently filled with peril. We have a whole genre from the 80s and 90s devoted to kids almost dying from magic adventures. And for some reason, we've chosen to completely ignore the dark epilogues those adventures imply. Or rather, we don't ignore them, you ignore them. I'm not one of you. And here's proof. Unless they all die in the later seasons, the child heroes of Stranger Things are eventually going to have to get jobs. And not an interdimensional beast-slaying job either, because they reached job-getting age in the 90s, where most jobs were bullshit. These kids grew up to be AOL CD peddlers, or Blockbuster employees, or Miss Cleo, or something else that's terrible and 90s. But my point isn't that these kids are going to have a bad time by virtue of the fact that they will have to exist and have jobs in the 90s. I mean, yes, that's awful, but it isn't the main point. The main point is there will be no other life experience nearly as challenging or fulfilling. Congratulations, kids! You just saw the craziest, most awe-inspiring thing you'll ever witness with like 70 years left to go. At some point, Lucas from Stranger Things will go on a date when he's 18, and his date will ask him what he's like, or where he's been, or if he has any funny stories. And he'll be like, remember in the 80s when we learned for the first time that monsters exist and there were like 4 kids that fought them and rescued their friend from an alternate dimension? I was one of the kids. I was sort of the bummer kid, but still very involved. And since then, it's been pretty hard to get excited by science, sports, politics, my family, girls, mostly everything. My life reached its emotional peak at 12. I probably do lots of drugs now. It's kind of hard to feel any way about anything. And this applies to everyone who saved the world before adulthood. Harry Potter's senior class project is defeating Voldemort after coming back to life like Jesus Christ. That's like if your pre-college European vacation ended with you killing Hitler with Poseidon's trident. It's all downhill, and he's not even legally old enough to drink dragon whiskey or butterfuck rum or whatever. I still haven't seen or read your dumb wizard bullshit. Hey, the eagle's back. Anyway, the worst part is that all the things Harry considered important at a young age, like board games and sports and homework, those turned out to be the things that actually saved the world. Just like how the gang in Stranger Things actually used D&D as a tool to rescue their friend. While that doesn't seem terrible, imagine the inflated value of your teenage Call of Duty ranking or Steven Universe fanfiction actually winning a war. Why would Harry Potter or Lucas Stranger Thing tell their kids, study hard and pay attention in school, and why would their kids believe them if they did? How the hell will those wizard adventurers convince their own kids to study and hold down jobs when the most useful skill they've ever applied was booby trap solving and making light puppets to ward off fear wraiths? The Goonies have the same problem, as those kids will now grow up assuming that spelunking for rich stuff is the most efficient way to get ahead in life. And can you blame them? They saved their families from financial ruin by running away on a pirate adventure. That's such an unpractical life lesson that I'm still trying to figure out the nuts and bolts. Like, did banks deal in pirate jewels more often in the 80s? The father tears up the paperwork like he instantly knows the value of those gemstones and exactly what to do with them. Was that just a thing people knew back then? How to, like, spot price jewels? Am I behind in life because I can't do that? Which teacher do I blame? Home ec? Chemistry? Italian? Che cazzo, signora Leonessa? Speaking of extremely problematic things, the Goonies shrug right the f*** off. Remember this?
Sloth, you're gonna live with me now.
Hey, what do you suppose happened after that arrangement? You know, now that it's 30 years later and Chunk is presumably still bulk candy buying for a 60-something brain-damaged giant? No! More likely, Sloth was put in a mental facility the moment Chunk let his guard down. Do you think he kept visiting him after that? Did he spend his teenage weekends driving to Portland or wherever to spend time in some hospital like Laura Linney in Love Actually? This is why most of these stories conveniently go to credits before we see the plucky heroes tasked with the logistics of magic friends and breaking federal laws. Elliot from E.T. basically committed Earth treason to save his alien friend. You think the government is just gonna let him go be a happy child after that? Yeah, that sounds like the government. Kid has spent weeks psychically linked to a space goblin that just rainbowed off into the galaxy. For all we know, he's some kind of X-Man, or totally sterile, and he's not alone.
Hey, still radioactive. Hands off.
Yeah, remember that tidbit? The Transformers are f***ing radioactive, meaning that Shia LaBeouf has been driving around in a Chernobyl sarcophagus for 3 films. Probably got replaced by Mark Wahlberg because of bone cancer. Kid's deader than the dead children in Mary Poppins.
It's grand to be an Englishman in 1910.
Yeah. London in 1910. What a grand time to be alive. Surely nothing bad is going to happen to London in the following years after this film. Speaking of explosive trauma, what are the odds that literally everyone in Harry Potter's graduating class is going to need intensive therapy? The Battle of Hogwarts wasn't some PG baby skirmish. It was an actual life-or-death ground war between giant spiders, Dracula men, and ogres against goddamn terrified teenagers. Shit went down gross. People died screaming in waking nightmares. Just the smells of toxic decay and acrid magic wafting from the battlefield is enough to scramble someone's brain like a bag of otters. Not to diminish actual soldiers with PTSD, but the emotional wreckage that must come with seeing your cubby neighbor get eviscerated by wand beams is unimaginable. They would have to invent a whole new field of therapeutic study to treat that. So many child stars become drunks and drug addicts because tremendous fame is too much for a growing child to handle. What do you think would happen to child wizards who went to war together against the devil? Bad things is my top guess, but at least the wizard world is aware of such dangers. The Jurassic Park kids would not only require specialized therapy to quell the fear echoes from their weekends at Grandpa's Monster Island, but will absolutely not get the therapy because of the InGen cover-up following the movie.
I was there, I know what happened, and so do you.
You signed a non-disclosure agreement before you went to the island that expressly forbade you from discussing anything you saw. You violated that agreement.
That means Tim's nightly flashbacks of sickening rot breath and high-voltage electrocution will likely be identified as some kind of delusion. Any shrink will assume that his dinosaur fear symbolizes something less tangible instead of, actual dinosaurs. And even when the truth comes out in the Lost World, it's not like there will be support groups for people nearly mauled by ancient lizards. At least, not for a while. See, it's not just that these kids are forever damaged by the fun adventures they're going on, but that they're so fantastical in horror that it's impossible to know how to help them. Because kid adventure movies, by design, have almost exclusively useless adult authority figures, how would these kids ever trust anyone authoritative ever again? How do you reassure a child that their father isn't going to shrink them down and eat them alive when that was totally a thing that almost happened? So just to circle back to Poppins for a second, assuming those kids do survive 2 world wars, how many memories do you think they'll retain from when they were sucked into a cartoon world by a cloud sorceress and her grifting hobo friend? I'm guessing it would be foggy at best, especially since Poppins gaslights them in real time about their insane adventures.
No, Poppins, don't you remember? You won the horse race.
A respectable person like me in a horse race? How dare you suggest such a thing?
But I saw you do it.
Now, not another word or I shall have to summon a policeman.
They're in for a dark, terrible adolescence, as is this girl. How long is Sully planning to visit Boo after the end of Monsters, Inc.? At some point, she's gonna grow up and go to college with the vague memory of a big blue devil sneaking into her room every night. She'll probably have nightmares about endless doorways and bipedal chameleons and have no idea why. I'm not blowing ass smoke. Scientists attempting to learn the exact point we retain memories found that our physical bodies will often remember earlier events that our brains won't. This means that Drew Barrymore's E.T. character will likely go into confused screaming fits at the sight of Reese's Pieces, or that Labyrinth baby will spend years of therapy trying to discover why glam rock bands induce panic attacks.
Dance, magic, dance, dance, magic, dance.
Imagine you're 35 years old and on a date. You pass by a street performer doing a marionette show and out of nowhere get the haunting, distant recollection that you were once an enchanted wooden puppet. Yeah, I'm not done with you, Pinocchio. Remember from before? I will never be done with you. Recall that Geppetto's 100 in that movie. Let's reasonably assume that Geppetto will die when Pinocchio is like 10 or 11. Pinocchio is going to grow up and go on dates and have dim, fuzzy memories about having maybe been a puppet, and the only person who could confirm it is dead. Pinocchio will get a girlfriend, go to her house, flip through a photo album that shows her baby pictures, and suddenly think, I don't think there's a single picture of me as a baby. Why is that? I kind of remember being a puppet. That can't be right. I don't have any baby pictures, but I do kind of remember being an unkillable puppet, and also sort of a donkey for a time? Is there literally anyone in the world who shares this experience? What is my blood type? Do I have one? No, Pinocchio, no to all of that. No one has your experience, and you have no blood type. You're alone in the world, and you're wrong. If it makes you feel any better, so is everyone else. Oh, dark. never mind. I don't actually feel that way. Everything's fine. Pinocchio, you're great. Hey, you're great. Your blood type is AB. Congrats. That's a hot one. Join us next time when our topic will be Pinocchio is nothing, everything is nothing, embrace the void. Sounds fun. Sounds spooky. Should I say spooky? Is this coming out around Halloween? November? Oh, sounds f***ing Thanksgiving-y, I guess, then. Whatever ties us to the zeitgeist. Bye. Hey everyone, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe and do all of the YouTube things. Let me know in the comments why your life is worse than Pinocchio's life. We'll do an episode about it. It's way too dark.